couple of weeks ago, I was up in Garden Valley celebrating Sunday Mass with the little congregation up there. Every now and then, if I'm able to, I try and help Father Oscar out. And this was one of those times. I don't know if you've been to the little church in Garden Valley, but it's just a cute little thing, very small. And there were maybe 30 or 35 folks that came to Mass. It was probably packed into the church as they could be, trying to keep some level of social distancing. Certainly they don't have the room to spread out like we do here. But it impressed me that they were trying to take all kinds of steps to observe the protocols, that they had set up a separate ambo or pulpit out in front of the altar for the lectors to read from, rather than the one that the priest read from, just to keep the distance there. And everybody was masked through the whole thing. And yet, the reason I'm telling you all this is because right after Mass was over, as I was getting ready to pack up my car and head back out, I noticed a group of about 6 or 8 that were talking to one another in the parking lot. And I mean, they were close to each other. There was no distancing or anything like that. And they all had their masks off. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what's the deal? You wore them because it was required of you? You wore them so you could be in church? But you really don't believe or accept the difficulty or the danger? And it's not just those folks. I've seen folks after Mass here, friends who want to talk to one another, but everybody takes their masks off. And this is not a homily about wearing your mask. It's not even that I'm going to say, okay, maybe for your Lent, you just make sure that you are always protecting one another. That's fine, but that's not what this is about. It's about that attitude of, well, we'll do what we're supposed to do when we're in public, but deep down inside, Lent is for our hearts. A story is told about Queen Elizabeth of Belgium, who made a state visit to communist Warsaw in 1956. She was assigned a Polish protocol officer to accompany her to Mass. As they traveled to the church, she asked him, "Are you a Catholic?" "Believing, but not practicing," he replied. "I see," the Queen said. "Then you must be a communist. Practicing, Your Majesty, but not believing." Lent challenges us not just to be practicing, but practicing and believing. What's the purpose of all of this? We heard it in that beautiful entrance song. Long have I waited for your coming home to me and living deeply our new life, says God. To find new life. The readings, Joel, he says, tear your hearts, not your garments. If we just do the exterior actions of Lent and we tell ourselves, wow, this is holy. Wow. God must be pleased. What have we gained in the end except a little more self-satisfaction? And that's not what most of us need. Now is the day of salvation, Paul tells us. Now is a very acceptable time. The prayer, the fasting, the works of charity are all meant to open us up to being less self-centered, more focused on others, because that is the great mystery of our salvation. Christ, who totally gave of himself for the sake of others. And when we share in the Eucharist throughout the year, this is my body given up for you. This is my blood poured out for you. Do this in memory of me. Well, during Lent, we realize that maybe we need to get focused again on giving of our body, giving our concern for others. But if we're just doing the practices, practicing but not believing, then they all focus on ourselves. I have to pray, so I am going to say more prayers. So, no. I know that I need to allow myself to draw deeper to the Lord. I am supposed to fast, so I'm going to do without. It's tough. I know I'll constantly be thinking about the chocolate or the beer or whatever else it might be. Lent's not a time where we're supposed to turn our thoughts to chocolate or beer or whatever it is that we are supposedly giving up or fasting from. Supposedly, that helps us to realize that, okay, in some ways I have become too self-indulgent. I have made my life too much about getting what I want. Our works of charity are not meant to give us a pat on the back or one that we give ourselves, but rather as a reminder. I maybe have been a bit less compassionate, and I need to grow in that. The purpose of Lent is to bring us more ready for Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter, the Paschal mystery, Christ's giving of himself. That's why even though today we start with the ashes, we start with the purple, I wore my hope stole, just as a reminder of where this is all taking us. But we've got to let it take us there. We've got to let ourselves be taken. Believing but not practicing. Practicing but not believing. Believing, wanting to grow, and then practicing. Now is a very acceptable time. Now is the day of salvation. Let's embrace this opportunity. Or let's not bother.